When accidents shattered their worlds, the beloved cast members of the Searchers faced unimaginable challenges. From sudden fame to lives spiraling downward, these stories of heartbreak, resilience, and transformation remind us of the fragility of success. In 2025, we uncover where they are now, delving into remarkable comebacks, lessons learned, and the paths they've chosen. This is more than a glimpse into their past. It's a powerful journey of survival and hope that you won't want to miss. John Wayne played Ethan Edwards at the age of 48 in 1956, portraying a haunted Civil War veteran on a relentless quest to rescue his kidnapped niece. His character was both fierce and deeply tormented, embodying the moral complexities of frontier justice. Off-screen, Wayne's life was riddled with emotional hardship despite his larger-than-life image. He was married 3 times, first to Josephine Alicia Sines, with whom he had 4 children, Michael, Mary, Patrick, and Melinda. His subsequent marriages to Esperanza Bauer and Pilar Pali were tumultuous, marred by jealousy, heavy drinking, and long absences due to his filming schedule. His children often described a distant father, torn between public duties and private demons. Wayne suffered numerous health issues later in life, including lung cancer in 1964 and stomach cancer, which ultimately claimed his life on June 11, 1979, at the age of 72. His final years were marked by a quiet loneliness, compounded by a deep sense of regret for broken relationships. Despite these personal battles, his legacy as a Hollywood icon remained untarnished. At the time of his death, his estate was estimated at $7 million, with significant holdings in real estate and film royalties. Vera Miles portrayed Lori Jorgensen at the age of 26, bringing to life a hopeful and strong-willed woman caught in a world of uncertainty and war. Her character balanced resilience with tenderness, standing as a moral compass within the story. Miles's early career flourished, yet her personal life was marked by repeated heartbreak and unfulfilled dreams. She married 4 times, most notably to actor Gordon Scott, father of her son Michael. Subsequent marriages to Bob Miles, Keith Larson, and director Eli Lurie ended in divorce, often citing her struggle with anxiety and disillusionment with fame. Though she had 4 children in total, she became estranged from 2 of them later in life due to disagreements over her reclusive lifestyle. Miles withdrew almost entirely from public life by the late 1980s, suffering from chronic depression and reported hoarding disorder. While once celebrated for her roles in Hitchcock classics, she lived her later years in near isolation in a modest home in California. As of now, she is 95 years old, reportedly under full-time care. Her estate, mostly held in long-term trusts and film royalties, is estimated at $1.2 million. Natalie Wood took on the role of Debbie Edwards at just 17 years old, delivering a performance that radiated innocence and fear amidst the savagery of captivity and rescue. Her promising career accelerated afterward, but her personal life became a storm of emotional volatility. She married actor Robert Wagner twice, with their relationship often described as passionate but deeply toxic. They had 1 daughter together, Courtney, and Wood had another daughter, Natasha, from a previous relationship. Wood struggled with mental health issues, including severe anxiety, and was known for her intense fear of dark water, tragically ironic given the circumstances of her mysterious death. On the night of November 29, 1981, she drowned off the coast of Catalina Island at the age of 43 under unresolved circumstances, sparking decades of speculation and public scrutiny. Friends described her final years as emotionally unstable, plagued by infidelity rumors and creative frustration. At the time of her death, Wood's estate was valued at approximately $3 million, including royalties, property, and art collections. Her legacy remains both luminous and tragic, a star whose brilliance was eclipsed far too soon. Olive Carey played Mrs. Jorgensen at the age of 63, embodying the role of a warm, firm matriarch who served as a grounding force amidst the chaos of frontier life. A seasoned character actress and widow of actor Harry Carey, she brought a natural authenticity to her role in The Searchers. In real life, Olive endured profound personal loss, not only with her husband's early death but also the distant relationship with her only child, Harry Carey Jr., whose own acting career often kept them apart. Her marriage had been strong, but the loneliness of widowhood weighed heavily in her later years. Carey experienced declining health throughout the 1980s, suffering from arthritis and near blindness, yet she refused to enter assisted care, choosing to remain in her rustic ranch home in California. Known for her philanthropy within the small acting community, she was revered but also quietly burdened by financial strain. She passed away on March 13, 1988, at the age of 95 from complications due to pneumonia. At the time of her death, her estate was modest, estimated at $150,000, largely composed of land and residual royalties from her film work. Despite these hardships, she was remembered fondly as a resilient and dignified presence both on screen and off. Jeffrey Hunter, who portrayed Martin Pauly in The Searchers, was 29 years old when he stepped into the role of the earnest, half-Comanche adopted nephew of Ethan Edwards. His soulful performance, marked by vulnerability and inner conflict, resonated deeply with audiences. Off-screen, Hunter's life was riddled with hardship. He was married 3 times, including a short, troubled marriage to actress Barbara Rush, with whom he had 1 son, Christopher. His second marriage to model Dusty Bartlett brought 2 more children, Lauren and Steele, but ended in a bitter custody battle that left Hunter emotionally strained. Though briefly remarried, his third union unraveled amid rumors of infidelity and substance abuse. After The Searchers, Hunter struggled to escape his matinee idol image and found himself typecast, leading to a string of unsuccessful roles and financial missteps. He suffered from chronic migraines and depression, and his final years were marked by isolation and declining health. In 1969, he tragically died at the age of 42 from a cerebral hemorrhage following a fall. His estate was valued at a modest $350,000, much of it entangled in medical bills and legal fees from ongoing divorce proceedings. Ward Bond played the authoritative and morally torn Reverend Captain Samuel Johnston Clayton in The Searchers at the age of 53. Known for his booming voice and larger-than-life presence, Bond brought both gravitas and ambiguity to the role. Behind the scenes, Bond's personal life was far more chaotic. A lifelong bachelor until the age of 50, he eventually married socialite Marilyn Jensen, but the marriage quickly soured due to Bond's long absences, alleged affairs, and volatile temper. The couple never had children, and the relationship dissolved in quiet bitterness just 2 years before his death. Despite appearing in over 200 films, Bond was often overlooked by critics and battled with feelings of professional inadequacy. He suffered from alcoholism and chronic heart issues, both of which worsened under the pressures of Hollywood. In 1960, while filming a television appearance, Bond died suddenly of a massive heart attack at the age of 57. He left behind a complex legacy and an estate valued at approximately $600,000, which was largely contested by distant relatives and former business associates. John Qualen, who played the gentle and stoic Swedish settler Lars Jorgensen in The Searchers, was 57 years old when he took on the role. Known for his poignant portrayals of immigrant characters, Qualen's depiction added emotional depth to the film. However, his own life was far from peaceful. He was married to his childhood sweetheart, Greta Nielsen, for over 3 decades, but the marriage was scarred by financial hardship and the tragic loss of their only daughter, Ingrid, who died in a car accident at age 19. This event sent Qualen into a spiral of grief and seclusion. After The Searchers, he found fewer roles, and those offered were often one-dimensional caricatures. Suffering from degenerative eye disease and severe arthritis, Qualen withdrew from public life entirely by the 1970s. He lived his final years in a modest apartment in Los Angeles, supported partially by former colleagues and a small Screen Actors Guild pension. He passed away in 1987 at the age of 87. His estate, mainly composed of modest savings and memorabilia, was valued at under $200,000. Henry Brandon, who portrayed the vengeful Comanche war chief Scar in The Searchers, was 44 years old at the time of filming. His chilling performance brought a haunting stillness to the screen, and yet Brandon remained a misunderstood figure throughout his life. Known for playing villains and ethnic characters due to his sharp features and brooding presence, Brandon struggled with typecasting and professional frustration. He was briefly married to costume designer Elaine Farrow, but the marriage ended when Brandon revealed his long-suppressed truth. He was gay, a secret he carried through most of his career. His attempts to live authentically were stifled by the Hollywood system and societal norms of the time. Though he had no children, he maintained a decades-long private relationship with a stage actor, Peter Lang, which was never publicly acknowledged. After The Searchers, Brandon worked sporadically and suffered from chronic loneliness, compounded by recurring bouts of anxiety. He died in 1990 from a heart attack at the age of 77. At the time of his passing, his estate, comprising real estate investments, antique collections, and royalties, was estimated to be worth $1.1 million, quietly left to Peter under a pseudonymous trust. Ken Curtis played Charlie McCory at the age of 40 in The Searchers, portraying a well-meaning but slightly bumbling romantic rival to Martin Pauly. His light-hearted performance brought a touch of levity to the otherwise intense narrative. Despite his likable on-screen persona, Curtis's real life after the film spiraled into a series of personal tragedies. He married singer Janice Ford in 1957, but their marriage was marked by infidelity and long separations. They had 3 children, Stephen, Elaine, and David, but the family never truly bonded. Curtis was often absent, touring with his band or on location for films that never matched The Searchers in acclaim. His career slowly faded, leading him to work sporadically in TV westerns and county fairs. Financial mismanagement left him nearly bankrupt by the 1980s. Curtis battled alcoholism and chronic depression in private. A devastating fire destroyed his California ranch in 1983, and he was never emotionally or financially able to recover. He died on April 28, 1991, from a heart attack at the age of 74, reportedly alone. Despite a once promising career, he left behind a modest estate valued at just $150,000, most of which was tied up in medical debt and unpaid taxes. His children reportedly declined to attend his funeral. Antonio Moreno portrayed Emilio Gabriel Fernandez y Figueroa in The Searchers at the age of 61, a character defined by quiet strength and dignified presence. Once a celebrated matinee idol of the silent film era, Moreno had already experienced the crushing blow of a fading star before he even appeared in the film. His role in The Searchers was a small return to the screen, but it failed to reignite his career. In his private life, Moreno lived reclusively after the death of his long-term partner, composer Harold Bremer, in 1954, a relationship he was forced to keep hidden due to the era's prejudices. Though he adopted 2 children, twin boys named Rafael and Diego, they were raised by caretakers, and the family remained emotionally distant. Moreno's later years were marked by declining health, a battle with emphysema, and severe loneliness. He lived alone in a crumbling Pasadena estate filled with relics of a forgotten golden age. His once vast fortune was whittled down through lawsuits, poor investments, and the high costs of care. He died on February 15, 1967, at the age of 71 from complications related to his lung disease. At the time of his death, his estate was valued at $90,000, mostly antiques and unsold memorabilia, reminders of a career long past its prime. Hank Wardens took on the role of Mose Harper in The Searchers at age 55, a mentally fragile but endearing character who added a strange, almost spiritual levity to the dark western. Off-screen, Wardens was every bit as eccentric as his character, with a soft voice and a faraway look that many found unnerving. His marriage to vaudeville dancer Lillian Grady in 1949 seemed destined for heartbreak from the beginning. They had one daughter, Rebecca, who struggled with addiction and was later estranged from the family. Warden's post-Searchers career dwindled into obscure bit parts, and his mental health deteriorated with age, worsened by the tragic suicide of his wife in 1971. He wandered between low-rent hotels and short-term care facilities, eventually diagnosed with early-onset dementia. In the 1980s, forgotten by most of Hollywood, he lived in a veteran's home in Los Angeles, supported by a modest pension and the occasional residual check. Wardens passed away on December 6, 1992, at the age of 91. At the time of his death, he owned little more than a battered trunk filled with letters, photographs, and his worn cowboy hat. His estate was estimated at $25,000, a heartbreaking reflection of a man whose quirky spirit once lit up the silver screen. Walter Coy played Aaron Edwards in The Searchers at the age of 48, portraying the solemn, hard-working older brother of Ethan Edwards. His character's tragic loss early in the film would ironically mirror the string of personal sorrows that would define Coy's later life. Though he began his career with promise on Broadway and in early television, Coy's roles dried up soon after The Searchers. He married aspiring screenwriter Eleanor Pierce in 1952, and their union, fraught with infidelity, produced two sons, Andrew and Jacob. Both boys would later publicly accuse Coy of emotional neglect. A failed business venture in Nevada left him bankrupt in the late 1960s. After Eleanor filed for divorce in 1970, citing emotional cruelty and gambling addiction, Coy lived alone in a trailer outside of Las Vegas. His health deteriorated quickly due to cirrhosis and untreated diabetes. He was found dead in his home on July 11, 1974, at the age of 66. Authorities reported he had been deceased for days before being discovered. His estate, burdened with medical debts and back taxes, was estimated at just $12,000, largely composed of unpaid royalties and a life insurance policy his children declined to claim. A forgotten man, Coy's death was barely noted in the press. Pippa Scott, who played Lucy Edwards in The Searchers at the age of 21, brought a gentle resilience to the role of the kind-hearted niece caught between loyalty and the chaos of frontier life. Now 90 years old, Scott's early promise in Hollywood faded as she struggled to find roles that matched her talent. Her career floundered in the 1960s, overshadowed by younger stars and marred by a difficult relationship with studio executives. She married playwright Charles Hart in 1959, and although the couple had 3 children, Clara, John, and Emmeline, the marriage was deeply troubled by his infidelities and her battle with depression. They eventually divorced in 1975. Her relationship with her children became strained as she retreated from public life, suffering from periods of reclusiveness and addiction. Tragedy struck when her youngest daughter Emmeline died in a car accident in 1992, sending Scott into years of mourning. She also suffered from chronic anxiety, a failed suicide attempt in the 1980s, and financial instability after poor investments. Though she now lives in a modest assisted living facility in Pasadena, she remains lucid, occasionally writing letters to old friends. Her estate is currently valued at approximately $150,000, a shadow of her former Hollywood earnings. Patrick Wayne, who portrayed Lieutenant Greenhill in The Searchers at just 17, played the eager young officer with a sense of duty and innocence. The son of John Wayne, Patrick was expected to rise to stardom, but the weight of his father's name became a burden. Though he starred in several films through the 60s and 70s, his career never matched expectations. Now 86 years old, Wayne married only once, to actress Darlene White, but their union dissolved after just 6 years, strained by Patrick's drinking and long absences on set. The couple had 2 children, Michael and Christine, but both became estranged from their father after his failed second marriage and erratic behavior. Wayne faced several personal tragedies, including a serious car accident in 1979 that left him with chronic pain and a failed attempt to direct his own film, which bankrupted him. He also battled prostate cancer in the early 2000s, and although he survived, it ended his public appearances. He currently lives in relative seclusion in Arizona, relying on a modest pension and small royalties. His estate is estimated at $500,000. Lana Wood took on the role of young Debbie Edwards at age 10, a role marked by innocence in the face of immense cultural and familial conflict. Now 79 years old, Lana, sister of famed actress Natalie Wood, spent decades struggling under her sister's shadow. Though she appeared in several television shows and films, including a role as a Bond girl, she never achieved lasting stardom. Her personal life was marked by heartache. She married 3 times, each ending in turmoil. Her first marriage to producer Alan Balter produced a daughter, Evan, but ended in a bitter custody battle. Her second and third marriages, both short-lived, were plagued by infidelity and emotional abuse. The mysterious death of her sister Natalie in 1981 deeply affected Lana, and she spent years campaigning for the case to be reopened, sacrificing job opportunities and friendships in the process. She filed for bankruptcy in 1995 after a failed attempt to launch a production company. Lana currently resides in California with her daughter, relying on Social Security and occasional speaking engagements. Her estate is valued at approximately $75,000. Who is your favorite character from the searches? How does it feel knowing that some of the actors are no longer with us? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy this type of content, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on future uploads. Thank you for your support.